My name is Hudson Archer. I'm a 17-year-old mobile detailer, and in just under a year, I was able to build my dream detailing setup and make over $10,000 a month. Let me take you inside the business. So one of the questions that I get asked the most is, Hudson, where did you get the van built out? Who did all of the equipment and the framing? Well, we actually had the resources to do that ourselves. So all of the fabrication, all of the steel work, everything was done by us here in Austin, Texas, instead of shipping it out somewhere else. It was a whole lot cheaper, and we were able to customize it more and get exactly what we wanted. Now, starting at the front, we have two vacuums. These are Cox reels, $500 a piece. Now, why do we have $1,000 worth of vacuum reels? This is because our crews have two people. I like to make sure that our guys can divide every car in half. So one guy can vacuum and wipe down the driver's side, and the same can be done with the other guy on the passenger side. Now, over here, we have our extension cord. It has 3 outlets here. This is for stuff like polishers, our ozone generator, really anything that's not built into the van. This is 50 foot and on a retractable reel. Next up is the air compressor, also 50 foot on a retractable reel. This is where we attach our Tornador air compressor gun. Now, air compressors and Tornadors are very, very useful, and they speed up a job, but it's not necessary. We actually didn't have these tools until about 4 to 5 months ago when we actually did the van build out, so it's not necessary, but definitely consider it if you have the money. The pressure washer, hose reel, this is also on 50 foot, and this is not automatic, so you do have to wind it back in, but it's not too big of a deal. And the main reason why we chose to do 50 foot for everything instead of 100 foot like some guys do is because 50 foot is pretty much sufficient to tackle a whole vehicle comfortably without worrying about stuff getting tangled. So you can keep the van in the same spot, tackle the whole vehicle, and sometimes you can do 2 vehicles that are stacked side by side with just 50 foot. Now, at the top is all of our towels. The first bucket here is our interior towels. Then we have wash mitts and 2 buckets of dry towels because that's what get used the most. Now over here, we will have all of these storage containers here. The top has clay towels. This is what we use to decontaminate paint, some miscellaneous stuff like duct tape, sandpaper, that sort of thing. The next one here is all of our polishing and ceramic coating tools. So we have all of our pads. Some are brand new, some have not been opened. And then we have 2 3-year coatings, 2 5-year coatings, and usually have 2 8-year coatings, but we're out of those right now because we did a big coating last week. And then at the bottom, this is where we have our drill, the brushes that go with it. We have our toothpicks, which we use to clean out perforated leather. If there's something in the little perforations, we can poke it out. And then we have our crevice tools that attach to our vacuums to get in all the nooks and crannies. And that leads me to my favorite part of the actual build out, and that is that when we're attached to either the client's power or our own power through our generator, we have a circuit board where everything is hooked up to. So we can access our air compressor with this switch, pressure washer with this switch, and the top 2 are for the vacuums. This is super crucial because it keeps it as efficient and as streamlined as possible for my employees, since I'm no longer out there on the field detailing every day. And I'm going to link all of the products that we use to be very efficient and very profitable in our business down in the description. If you're interested in any DIY detail products, we do have a 10% off code for that as well. But we use DIY Detail Rinseless Wash. I've put out several videos about it, why it makes us super efficient as opposed to using a regular soap. You can watch those videos as well. They're also linked. But this is our primary soap that we use. And then we have bug cleaner, a regular soap for the rare occasion that we do need to use it. And then ceramic gloss. We have 2 of these. This is our ceramic sealant. So we use this in our wash process as a drying aid. And as we wash the car with this product, it applies about 3 to 6 months worth of protection to the vehicle. And it's a little bit better than a wax. So I prefer that personally. Then we have 2 bottles of quick beads. This is a dressing that we use for rims to make them shine and protect them as well. We have 2 kinds of tire shines, the regular tire shine that we use on every single detail, and then a ceramic tire shine by Griot's Garage. That's for the more high-end details. It lasts a bit longer. And then we have miscellaneous items down here. This is our engine dressing. We've got iron remover, water spot removal, and interior ceramic, which we use on leather. And then coming over here, we have additional brushes for the guys if they run out. We've got our polishing compounds. We have panel prep, which is an alcohol prep compound for the paint before you apply a ceramic coating. Headlight restoration, a couple other polishes. These suck, but I keep them on hand anyway because there's some occasions where they're necessary. And then we have extra stuff here. I usually like to keep all-purpose cleaner, interior cleaner, and tire shine stocked up here. That way if the guys run out, they can access them there. And then let's go to the side. So on the passenger side of the vehicle, we have 2 buckets right here, and there's 2 buckets on the other side. That's so that our guys can do the 2-bucket wash method each on either side of the vehicle. It just saves us some time. And here is a rigid shop vac. This is actually not hooked up to the vacuum reels at the front of the van. Instead, this is what we use as our extractor. This is a homemade extractor that we just have a water filter inside, so it filters out high volumes of liquids. And we have our extractor head here. This attaches to the front of the vacuum, and then we hook it up to water as well. That way we can use use it as an extractor. And this thing in total costs about $300 to make on our own, as opposed to $2,000. And if you watch my interior detailing video, you would know that expensive extractors actually aren't any better than homemade extractors. This gets the job done beautifully. All an expensive extractor is doing is wasting your time and your money. And down here we have our rigid air compressor. This is 150 PSI, 6 gallons, and this is what feeds into the back where the reel is. Here is our manifold. So what we do when we're at the client's house, if it is a home, we are able to use this quick connect to hook our hose here, open this nozzle, and then from there we were able to pull this out, and this is what we use to fill up our buckets, but this also takes water through the system and into our pressure washer. So that's how we hook up if we're getting ready to use the client's water. But if we're running off of our own water tank, we would turn this off, and down here there is a switch for our water pump which hooks up to power. And if we turn that switch on, it's gonna start pumping water through the system from the water tank so we can use our own water as well. Boom! All right, driver's side of the van, there's a little bit more to unpack. So first, we have two identical bags, one up top, one down below. These are built out the exact same for either employee. The first thing included in these kits is our interior cleaner. This is P&S Express interior. We have DIY Detail all-purpose cleaner diluted 30-1. We have our foam cannon, which has rinseless wash in it. We have our shampoo in this IK foamer. We have our glass cleaner and a glass towel on the front. And then around here we have P&S Terminator Spot and Enzyme Treater. This is for stains. All of our brushes are here, and then we have some additional brushes at the front here. And then I have two stools, one for either side of the vehicle. That way the guys don't have to move them around very often. Next is our $300 Yeti soft shell cooler. This thing is fantastic. I stock it up every morning with body armors, Gatorades, fruits, that sort of thing. That way the guys are fully hydrated and feel good throughout the day because it is hot in this Texas sun. And here are where our two rigid shop vacs are hooked up. That feeds directly into the front. Here is our 100-gallon water tank. Unscrewing this is what allows us to fill it up. So we will just take a water hose and I'll fill it up at my home before the day if we have a job that is at a client's office or apartment. Like I said, if we're at a residential place, it does not make sense for us to use our own power and water. One, because of the cost. Two, these vans are not meant to handle 100 gallons of water, being 800 pounds of water on their transmission. That's actually really bad for the van, so we don't do it that often. And then we have our two polishers. One is the Rupes Bigfoot polisher. This is a $500 polisher, and behind it is our small Torque polisher. I think it's like 120 bucks. You actually don't need a very expensive polisher. If you're just starting your business, I would recommend getting a smaller one, but the big one allows us to cover more area when we're polishing a vehicle. Moving on here, this is where we keep just general purpose things like gloves and trash bags. Our ozone generator is here. This is the small piece of equipment that literally kills all smells, whether it be feces or mildew, that sort of thing, smoke, odor. This thing knocks it out in about 30 minutes. So we just hook this up to our power, set it in the client's vehicle, close all the doors, and wait. And the last thing on this shelf is Cerakote Trim Restorer. This is what we use when a client has faded trim. This thing is phenomenal. It lasts almost permanently over 200 washes after you restore the trim. Basically a permanent product. And then down here, these are the two more buckets. This is the one that'll hold our water hose, which we hook up to the client's water if we're at their house. The second bucket is our wheel bucket. So we have two IK foamers inside and a whole bunch of brushes for my guys to use to clean the wheels. And finally, there's a couple things in the front that are just as important to how we run our business as the setup. Number one, this is our sheet that lays out some of our prices. So when the customer books, they have a general price estimate that is given to them over the phone or online. Here is where our guys show up and they take a look and they see, okay, does the customer's vehicle display excess staining? Are there excess amounts of brake dust in the tires? And then it gives them a general idea of how much to price those things and how to explain to the customer why those prices must be increased because it's going to take us a little bit longer. So that's how we stay profitable. Also is a couple things that we leave in every single client's vehicle when we finish. We leave a couple of business cards, we leave peppermints, and this is one of my favorite things. This is something that I found out early on in my business. This has a QR code to leave us a review. I will tell our customers, hey, while we're cleaning up, before we bring you up, if you scan this QR code and leave us a review on Google, we will give you $10 off your total. This is the strategy that got me from 0 to over 100 5-star reviews in just a couple months. In under a year, my company has become the highest rated auto detailing service in my area of town for a couple reasons. One, our work is unbeatable. Two, our customer service is phenomenal. And three, our customers are actually leaving us feedback. So a couple additions that we added to the van that were not included when we bought it was a backup camera right here. That's just for safety. And then over here is a couple of my favorite parts. Number one, the rims that we have on this are not standard. The rims that come on these vans are ugly. So we had to fix that if we're gonna be a detailing van. And then I have full Apple CarPlay and Android Auto here at the front. And the last thing is my favorite addition that we added to the van, and that is our subwoofer. Hear this thing rattle. So you want your own detailing van. First, do you get a loan or do you buy with cash? Well, I personally picked up my van with cash, and here's why I'd recommend to do so. On your first van, it's important to buy it outright because you have proven your business model to yourself. What do I mean by this? If you're able to buy upgrades for your business with money that your business has already generated, it gives you peace of mind. Now you're not worried about not making payments and all these things. I am getting ready to buy a second van and start a second crew, and I am going to pull out a big loan for that because I've already been in business for about a year now, and my business model has proven itself to be profitable. So when I bought my van, I was doing cash flow of about $5,000 to $8,000 a month, which is probably what I would recommend before you get a vehicle like this. This vehicle was $13,500. It had 144,000 miles on it, which was on the higher mileage end of Ford Transit Connects, but it was a 2015, so not super old. Now, after I bought it, we did have to do some work to it. Like I said, it was higher mileage, so some things did need to be replaced. It runs phenomenally now, but we did have to take it to the shop to get about $3,500 worth of work done to it. So now that brings our total from $13,500 up to $17,000. And we got it wrapped, which is something else that you should consider. And the reason why you should get the vehicle wrapped is less for advertising and more for brand image. You want your customer to have the least amount of doubts possible when you pull up. If you are in a wrapped vehicle, they have more confidence in your abilities than if you pull up in a unwrapped vehicle. Our wrap was $3,500, so now we're just over $20,000, and the actual build out was about $8,000. If you hire someone to build out your van, it's going to cost you about $12,000 to $15,000. If you can figure out how to do it on the low end, if you go really cheap, you can do it for about $5,000. But on the higher end, which is kind of what we went for because we wanted to be as sturdy and as efficient as possible, is about $8,000. So in total, it cost $28,500 to build my dream detailing setup. And this is now producing anywhere from $12,000 to $17,000 a month in revenue for my company, and giving me a launching point to buy a second van and hopefully in a year's time have 3, 4, 5 vans running around performing phenomenal work for my community. So in summary, if you want to get your own detailing van, you need a couple things. 1, hard work. 2, you need a vision. You have to be able to see yourself where you want to be and actually work toward it day in and day out. And 3, you need to be able to organize every area of your life to position yourself in such a way where you actually start making the money. You can't just be a detailer, you also have to be a business owner. Success comes in every single detail of your business.